Welcome to another episode of Live with Laura. I'm your host, Laura Hediger. There are three types of people in this world. There are people who love a sport. There are people who cover a sport. And then there are a rare few who help build a sport. Bill McDermott has helped build the sport of soccer here in the United States. He has covered 11 World Cups. He has called so many games, he has lost count, and it's in the thousands. And he has watched the game of soccer grow from a sport fighting for attention here in the United States to one of the biggest sports in the world. But here in St. Louis, he's done so much more than that. In fact, he is known simply as Mr. Soccer. And he is so kind to be giving us a full hour of his time today. I am truly honored to be sitting across from the one, the only Bill McDermott, Mr. Soccer himself.
Thank you, Laura. And by the way, our choice of outfits was by pure accident. By pure accident. Just want to bring that up. But thank you for the magnificent introduction.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you for the gift of your time
positively.
and your passion and experience. And I specifically wore blue today because St. Louis University
yes.
is so important
Likewise.
to you. So we're not going to go through your entire resume because that would take the next 8 years. But as we dive into this conversation, since you are so embedded in St. Louis and St. Louis University, what are some of your early memories of playing soccer and then going to St. Louis University?
I can answer that right away. It started in grade school, playing in the schoolyard at St. Fulton. Now, if people are watching this, they're going to say, oh, here's McDermott with the schoolyard story again. But this is how it began, Laura. There was an upper and a lower schoolyard. When you were deemed good enough by Don Cerisi, who was our idol, who went to St. Louis University, when you were deemed good enough to come up to the main schoolyard, the big schoolyard, you made it. And then, if you were on the traveling team, by that I mean the older guys would drive us to the neighboring parishes. St. Engelbert, Corpus Christi, Holy Rosary, Holy Name, schools like that, all up in North St. Louis. But that's when I first started playing on a religious basis. And then at the time after that, I went to McBride High School, played soccer there as well. And then I knew pretty much for sure that I wanted to go to St. Louis U because all my idols went there.
Mm-hmm.
Don Cerisi, Pat McBride, Carl Gentili, the coach Bob Gelker, and he's the one who offered me a soccer scholarship to go to St. Louis University.
What do you remember about that first day at SLU on the team?
Oh, boy. Just remember the practice sessions vividly, where Harry Keogh and Val Pellizzaro, our coaches. Bob Gelker, by the way, I mentioned Bob Gelker's name. After he awarded us scholarships, he called us and said, by the way, your scholarship is still valid. However, I'm leaving to go to start the soccer program at SIU Edwardsville. Whoa, okay. Months after that, we find out that Harry Keogh and Val Pellizzaro are going to be our coaches. So you talk up that bar went from here to there. Harry was one of the St. Louisans who played in the 1950 World Cup that defeated England, and Val Pellizzaro was a Kudus icon. Harry and Val were both Kudus icons, players we used to watch all the time down at fairgrounds, Heine-Miney, wherever. So when we played for St. Louis University, I think the main thought of many of us was we do not want to disappoint Harry and Val. Mm-hmm. Because we literally had just seen them play, 5-8 years prior to that. Mm-hmm. They played till pretty late in life for the Kudus team. So I remember that vividly, not wanting to disappoint Harry and Val.
And you didn't, because you helped lead St. Louis University to a couple of national championship games?
We won, Laura, in December 2nd, 1967. We played at Washington U in St. Louis here at Francis Field. To be dramatically accurate about this, the game should have never been played. There was ice floating on the field. The sleet and snow is coming down sideways. And the referee says, Michigan State's in town. We have to play. Now, at that particular time, Michigan State was one of the first schools that had come into St. Louis to recruit players. Consequently, 7 or 8 of the players we all knew and played against in grade school and high school. Now here we are in college again. So that was our first. That was in 67, our sophomore year. We couldn't play when we were freshmen at that particular time, 66. Our last championship was 1969, and this is a bizarre story. It's December 4th, 1969, and we're playing University of San Francisco at the Spartan Stadium on the campus of San Jose State University. And we were seniors at the time, so when the game was over, we were fortunate to win. When the game was over, we kind of just spent a little time just looking around the field, walking out to the center of the field, and thinking pretty much so that, well, we'll never be back here again. Mm-hmm. Fast forward to 1996. At the same field, Spartan Stadium in San Jose, I'm doing the first MLS game on ABC, ESPN, ESPN2. Bizarre. And my producer said, it is mandatory you tell that story.
You have to. A full circle moment.
A total full circle moment, yes.
Something that is so unique about you is sports guys, I love this. You can go back to moments, to turning points in games, and I can almost see you seeing it in your mind as you are naming all of your former players. Mm-hmm. That is remarkable.
I still see a goodly number of them on a regular basis, mm-hmm. and we're still very active. All of us are still very active at St. Louis U, mm-hmm. and I will start in the fall. 72 from my 54th year of public address announcing for the men's team. Mm-hmm. The women's team didn't start till 1996, mm-hmm. and I've been doing their games as well. So I'd be going to the games anyway, so it's a good way to stay involved.
You are so passionate about this sport. You say you'd still be going to the games anyway. Mm-hmm. But why? In those early years, after you stopped playing for SLU, did you say, I now want to be the person to announce for them?
That started, again, at St. Louis University. When I graduated in May of 1970, I got out of college and I said, okay, where's my job? Mm-hmm. I went to college for 4 years. Where's my job? Well, I had an offer, as good as it may be, because all my friends said, go into sales, you'll love it. I had an offer to sell cookies for Keebler in Wichita. That was not going to happen. So I went to art school in Chicago, which is my actual vocation. My avocation is the soccer business. Mm-hmm. So I got back and I worked for St. Louis University, and I was in the athletic department's office. I was assistant athletic director to Larry Albus. He gets a call one day from Channel 11. And Channel 11 said at the time, we are going to be doing a St. Louis Stars game. That's the old Stars from the NASL. We have a play-by-play man who is going to be in Dallas when we do the game in Dallas. His name was Frank Gleber. He was how do I accurately portray him? Because he was the Jack Buck of Dallas. Mm. Now, they asked Larry, do you think anybody, we're calling you because of the prowess of St. Louis University soccer, do you have anybody who you think might be able to answer the call as being a color analyst? Larry runs this by me, and I said, I've never done television, but I'll give it a go. Mm-hmm. Well, it was ideal, Laura, because he didn't know anything about soccer. I didn't know anything about television, okay? Which camera do I look at? Mm-hmm. Do I look at you? Do I look at my partner? How long do I go? I got to listen to a producer in my ear. Mm-hmm. So I learned real quickly. You know about listening to producers in your ear.
Mm-hmm. But you are the perfect color analyst because we want to know your commentary on what's happening on the field.
Well, ideally, that is the scenario that you're supposed to depict. Mm-hmm. Now, a goodly portion of it is on television. People could see that. I'm doubtlessly aware of that. So we don't cover touch to touch to touch to touch. But, okay, how did this goal happen? Oftentimes I will get on my talk back and I'll say to my producer, take that back as far as you can. Take it back as far as you can to see how the play actually began. Somebody scores a goal, wonderful. How did it get there? How did it get there? So I would you'd be very active with your producer on talkback.
And that is so interesting as the casual fan, because as you're sitting there watching a game unfold, sometimes you will yell at the TV, "No, show it again!
Yes,
show it again!"
Yes.
And you also have the hindsight of a loyal fan of the sport.
And you know, because of that, you know that people, they do indeed want to see how it happened, and they do want to see it in maybe 2 or 3 different angles. Now, local MLS games and St. Louis U games are nothing compared to World Cup games, because those are between 26 and 30 cameras, which is unheard of for a sporting event. So you can see on a regular basis various different angles of how things happened, why they happened, why this player was involved, how he got involved, things of that nature. And the VAR system now.
We will get into
I presume you were going to talk to me about
we
that.
absolutely are in the second part of this conversation.
Okay.
You have covered 11 World Cup games. As you mentioned, you're about to start your 54th season with SLU. So with that type of history, is there a moment in this sport that still gives you chills?
I think so. Yes, it was the 98 World Cup in France, and we were doing, oh boy, the last 2 weeks, we did 14 games, all in different venues. Montpellier, Marseille, Lens, Burgundy, back up to Paris, Stade de France, Saint-Étienne. We were all over the country. It was done on adrenaline because you wanted to do your best, obviously. But then the Argentina-England game, which is going to take place Wednesday of this week, just another part of the non-ending drama between Argentina and England. Dates back when they played in the World Cup in Chile in 1962. In 1966, England wins playing at home against Argentina in the quarterfinal, and Argentina got a player sent off. It took 20 to 30 minutes to get the game back to normalcy, okay? The Falkland Wars then occurs. Diego Maradona in 1986 at Azteca Stadium in Mexico. He knocks a ball in with his hand, which was clearly visible to the referee. Claimed he didn't see it. And now for them to play each other again in this World Cup in the semifinals, it's just non-stop drama between Argentina and England.
Can we get an early prediction?
I like France for sure over Spain. As good as Spain is, they have this young player. He just turned 19 yesterday.
Oh, gosh.
Lamine Yamal, 19. He started playing for Spain when he was 17. Preposterous in big game World Cup games. So he is on the right wing. His partner on the left wing is Nico Williams. Spain is missing him right now because of injury. Now, Lamine Yamal does a lot of things. A goodly portion of the game, he does everything. But not to have that other partner on the other wing means he has to do all things at all times for 90 minutes. France, on the other hand, has numerous attacking players. Kylian Mbappe, who probably is the best player in the world right now. He won the World Cup at 19 in 2018. Messi won it the following year in 2022. They have another player, Michael Olise, Desiree Doué, Ousmane Dembele. They are just loaded. They are loaded, and it seems they're the team to beat. But I like France for sure, and I think by some bizarre set of circumstances, it's going to be England's turn this year. They haven't been extremely lucky at this late stage of a competition, but I think just from out of nowhere and for some reason, it's going to be their turn this year.
So there you go, the prediction by Mr. Soccer himself. Before we take our first break, though, sports can be such a metaphor for life.
Without question.
In your entire career of not only calling games, but also those early days back in the schoolyard at the different parishes, do you remember something that someone told you soccer related that taught you more about life than the game?
Yes, precisely. And I can answer that question readily because Monsignor Joseph Kennedy was the pastor at St. Philip Neri, and he said one thing to us on one particular Saturday when we were playing in the schoolyard, interrupting him while he's hearing confessions in a church building. We're hammering the ball off the wall. So he came out and go, "Oh, no, it's Monsignor Kennedy." He goes, "I appreciate the fact that you boys are playing soccer and doing it on a regular basis, but do me a favor. Don't just work on becoming a better player. Work on becoming a better person." And that stuck with me forever. And another thing, one of our old coaches told us, an average player becomes good, a good player becomes great by imitation of role models in a small neighborhood setting. That was precisely what we had been doing. Precisely what we have been doing.
And still to this day, you can name all of those role models in that neighborhood
Without
setting.
question. Yes, for sure. Yep.
Oh, St. Louis, this has already been a treat, and we are just a few minutes in. And I encourage you to share this conversation with anyone in your circle, in your family, your coworkers who loves sport. It doesn't have to be the game of soccer, who just loves sport and everything that sport can teach us. We're sitting across from Mr. Soccer, so it only makes sense that we dive into everything that has happened here in North America over the last few weeks with the World Cup. It has been such an exciting time, and we'll get into it with Bill McDermott, Mr. Soccer himself, right after this break. Welcome back to Life with Laura. I feel so lucky to be sitting across from Bill McDermott, who was named Mr. Soccer by a pretty awesome guy with St. Louis ties.
Bob Costas has been very, very helpful in my career. This is long ago. This is early 70s when I got back from art school in Chicago. And I had my portfolio, and I was showing it to the various ad agencies at One Memorial Drive. You remember One Memorial Drive?
I sure do, yes, where Channel 4 used to be located.
Gardner, Darcy McManus, Macias. And I get on the elevator to go back down, and Bob and a friend get on. Now, I don't know him. I recognized his voice, and I had listened to him a lot when he was on with Jack Carney on a regular basis. He was... Jack was Tiki Jack and Bob was Rob Roy. Just stupid bits they did, but it turned out to be funny. So I hear his voice, and then we get off the elevator. I said, "Mom, you don't know me. I'm Bill McDermott. I announce a lot of soccer games. Could you look at some of my tapes and give me some heads up, things I should do, things I shouldn't do, how to interact with the camera, how do I talk to my partner like this, and then talk to the camera like this?" He goes, "Be glad to." Now, I know nothing about soccer, but I'll be glad to help you with the television side of things, which really helped out. Yeah, really helped out.
There are so many things about that quick story that stick out to me. The fact that you made the ask. In today's world, so many of us might be greeted with opportunity, but we are too scared of possibly being rejected. What gave you the guts to make the ask?
It just seemed, because of his demeanor on the air, that he was a nice person. We're basically the same age. He's a little younger. We remain good friends to this date, and I was accurate in my assessment. He was more than happy to help out, and did so continually throughout my career.
And something else about that is you asked for his help to make you better.
Precisely.
You didn't ask him, "Hey, can I come on your show?"
Yeah, no, I did not.
That that had to stick out to him that, hey, this is a guy who wants to work on his own craft, not asking for me to open the door for him.
Precisely. Now, I did ask him to open the door for me for an audition with NBC. Oh, boy, for the Barcelona Olympics. So I go up to New York for the audition, and I'm paired with Andres Cantor. Andres Cantor is the go guy.
Okay.
All right? Now, NBC's making a big deal out of the fact that Andres is going to be doing his first English telecast. There are 3 people applying for the analyst job. I did not know the other 2 at the time. And Dick Ebersol, the president of NBC Sports, detested soccer. But he said, look, if you're speaking for him on his behalf, okay, let's have him come up and do an audition. Long story short, I did. Bob, it's on a Good Friday. I remember that. Bob gets back to me on a Monday. Goes, well, I got good news and bad news. Oh, okay. Just tell me. He goes, well, Ebersol was taken aback by your performance at the audition. He said, you're clearly the best at the audition. However, we're going to use Alexi Lalas because he had more visibility from the 94 World Cup. So I quickly found out a little bit about the television business at that particular time. But at least I was in the right environment.
Right.
Right environment.
And that's such an interesting behind the scenes that we don't see. I
Yes.
had no idea that there were auditions for these.
Yes. And it's done on a regular basis, Laura. Yeah, very much so. And again, because Dick Ebersol didn't care for soccer, he said, Bob, we're doing this because people seem to like this. The numbers are growing bigger, so we're going to have soccer on the Olympics. Okay? So let's be done with it and get finished with it.
And let's use that as the next jumping off point because, truth be told, MLS has grown a lot in recent years, but years ago, the professional sports that people really cared about was football, basketball, baseball, hockey, not necessarily in that order. How has the evolution of professional soccer gone here in America from your point of view?
Well, it started with the 1994 World Cup coming to the United States. And all the naysayers said, how can you possibly award the World Cup to the United States? They have no pedigree in the sport to speak of. They don't have an organized league. So that was one of the caveats. You get the 94 World Cup, but you have to start a professional league, which they did indeed in 1996. Now, the progress of the league was erratic at best. But then when some top players started to come from other parts of the world, literally, it took off. Now, in particular, now I'm really fast forwarding here, Laura, but when David Beckham came to play in the United States, everything changed. Everybody says, well, who's done more for MLS, Beckham or Messi? You can answer that quickly by saying David Beckham, because he was literally more active in all phases of building the sport to such an extent that the sport now, you have to ask yourself, is this year's World Cup, is it a means of the United States building the sport to be in our culture, or is that already in our culture? Well, it is in our culture. Not the same as it is in Europe or South America, not by any means. And we're not saying that. When certain players would come over to play in the United States, it's a savior. He's going to save the sport. No one needs to save the sport. The sport has been saved. It's on the map. And one of the main areas that has really fostered the improvement and the overall attention to the sport has been soccer-specific stadiums. And I'll explain that. In '96, the league wanted to make a big deal out of the fact that we had teams in New York and California. We did games in California at the Rose Bowl. 93,000 people. Giant Stadium, 80,000 people. Now you get crowds of 20,000, which was very workable for soccer in the United States, but it looked horrible.
Right.
Just looked horrible. So with the dawn of the soccer-specific stadium, it really changed the focus of the sport entirely. It changed the overall appeal of the sport by people getting at smaller venues, 22,500, 23,000, 25,000, in that ballpark, and Energizer Park at the top of the list. What they did with that venue, what St. Louis City did with that venue, A-pluses all the way around.
What do you remember about the early conversations of MLS to STL?
Oh, excuse me. Everybody, whenever they had an opportunity, myself included, one of my broadcast partners, Ty Keogh, we were always all over the commissioner of MLS at the time, Doug Logan at the time, way before Don Garber. Doug, when's St. Louis going to get a team? You know we can accommodate a team. Fans will come, so on, so on, so forth. But we wouldn't let up on them. And when he would see us coming, he knew what it was about. That was McDermott. He'd go, oh, geez. You get a stadium, you get a team. Simple as that.
If you build it, they will come. But there's a lot to go into the building.
There's a lot to go into that. So various people have been looking at starting an MLS team in St. Louis. Jim Cavanaugh at the top of the list, co-founder, CEO of Worldwide Technology. When that vote was, the opportunity, the chance to get an MLS team, that vote was voted down. So consequently, and Jim said in his own words, there is no plan B. And then from out of nowhere, Andy Taylor from Enterprise called Jim and said, listen, I'm really paraphrasing this, but we're interested. We might be interested in getting involved in that soccer thing you had been working on. A goodly number of the women in my family would like to get involved in it. So it's the first female-owned MLS team, which is huge to begin with, dramatically different. And the rest, as I say, is history. That's how it got started. So you needed someone like that with the monetary wherewithal, obviously, and then everything just fit into place after that.
Carolyn Kendall
Yes.
leading
Yes.
City SC into the second half of their season, which picks up on Thursday. In the next 48 hours, though, a lot of great soccer is going to be played with the semifinals. Again, your prediction, France wins.
And England. I think England somehow, some way, is going to be able to pull this off. Messi has had countless moments in the sun because of his ability. Because of his ability. He won 8 Ballon d'Ors, the Ball of Gold, which means you're the best player in the world. Ronaldo won 5. But the mere fact, Laura, that we've been able to watch Messi and Ronaldo become the two respective faces of the sport for more than 24 years, that's unheard of. That two men would carry the sport for that long period of time, along with countless other great players, but they just had more visibility. Simple as that.
And it's been so fun to watch it here in North America.
Yes.
And it has been seemingly very well received by the international community.
The crowds in Kansas City, friends of mine sent me pictures when the Dutch team played in Kansas City. They literally took over downtown Kansas City, and everyone had an orange shirt on. Their venues were packed for viewing parties, and every one of the teams that stayed in Kansas City or wherever throughout the United States, they were welcomed. They were welcomed beyond belief, and consequently, they literally fell in love with America. And what brings them to these parts of to this part of the globe? Soccer. So once again, soccer, the great inclusion sport, brings everybody together. Erling Haaland from Norway, he put Norway on the soccer map this year, as did Messi again. All the top players have delivered many times over in this World Cup. Mbappe, Messi, Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane, and the list goes on and on and on. But they've all answered. They've all stepped up to show, yes, we are some of the best players in the world and some of the best who have ever played the sport.
The sport has not changed as far as what actually goes into it.
Right.
The goal, pun intended, is to always get the ball into the goal.
Yep.
The world has majorly changed since the first time you scored a goal.
Dramatically.
So let's talk about the technology. You mentioned earlier in the conversation that now this World Cup, did you say, has like 32 cameras?
Something like that, yes.
At all times.
Yes, for every game.
So I'm thinking from a broadcast perspective.
Isn't it bizarre?
Yes, just all the cables that are being run.
Yes.
And this well-oiled machine that has to happen in a very unpredictable setting. But with technology and the advancements, AVR has been rolled out. Will you please explain what AVR is and its impact on this World Cup?
VAR.
VAR.
Is Video Assist Refereeing. And what it is supposed to do is decide if it's a goal or not, if there's a case of mistaken identity, if we're going to send a person off for a violent foul, and or, to be real precise about it, the rule says endangering the safety of an opponent. That's what it's supposed to stand for. Now, it's been used a couple different times in this World Cup, not in the same fashion that I've just mentioned with the other three. But everybody says, well, we want to get this right, and supposedly it has. But FIFA says it's going to be a continual piece of the sport in the future.
You seem skeptical.
Yes, because of a couple of the instances this year where it's been used for something other than the factors I mentioned. Case in point, when Egypt is playing Argentina, there was a foul at midfield, shoulder to shoulder, not a horrible foul, but Turkey scored a goal in that particular play, and they were irate because the goal was disallowed, and VAR showed what was supposedly a foul at midfield well before the play started. So that's intrusion as opposed to showing the accuracy, which is the original goal of VAR.
Is this the first World Cup that this has been rolled out?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yeah.
But we're stuck with it moving forward.
Yes, ma'am. We are. FIFA has made that abundantly clear. Yes.
Will you take me back to right around the 4th of July when the U.S. was getting ready to play Belgium? The day after the 4th, I believe. Wasn't it Sunday the 5th?
Yes, exactly.
We didn't think our best player would be playing because he received a red card the game before. Right. Please walk us through what happened, a phone call, and if the outcome was ultimately the right outcome.
The outcome was not the right outcome because there is political interference in a judgment which is supposed to be done by FIFA. You cannot rescind a red card. No, you shouldn't be able to rescind a red card. And if you watch that play in particular with Folarin Balogun and Tariq Muharremovich Babazia, now, we didn't watch the whole game that closely to see. Maybe Muharremovich has been holding, grabbing Balogun, kicking him, shoving him, and we haven't seen it because it hasn't been on the screen. Maybe he just had enough. But I think when he put his foot on his calf and then went down further to turn his ankle sideways on the ground, that's endangering the safety of an opponent. And VAR looked at that, and when the referee goes over to look at that on a call like that, the call is going to be immediate. He gave him a red card, which was justifiable, I think. I'm in the minority in that one, but I think it was done accurately. But then we find out that the red card has rescinded, and Balogun's going to be playing for the United States against Belgium. Unheard of. unheard of. So, no, I'm in the camp of you cannot rescind a red card.
Do you think that's been the biggest point of contention for this World Cup?
Yeah, without any question, Laura. I could sit here and give you from 1930 to 2022 a little sentence about each World Cup.
I could imagine that.
But this one of the original sentences about the 2026 World Cup is going to be first time a red card was rescinded, along with other things too. But just it's the nature of what's transpiring, not just in politics, but irrespective of what I just said, of politics getting involved, politics cannot get involved in the World Cup.
Take that situation out of it. Were you surprised or impressed by how far Team USA made it?
I was not surprised at all.
Good.
I was dumbfounded at their final game against Belgium when it looked like they totally forgot how to play soccer. Whereas earlier in the competition, Paraguay, Australia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, now they're playing a team that's better. They're playing Belgium. But they all at one time, all the players at one time picked the same game to be horrid. And how that transpired, I have no idea. The wingers weren't contributing. There were problems in the backfield. The goalkeeper made a couple of dramatic errors. Balogun, even though he was playing, did not get a chance to do anything. And the normal players that usually stood up and had been playing superbly for the United States did not do that. Malik Tillman scored a nice free kick, and he had a great World Cup, as did Freeman. But overall, that game against Belgium really took people aback as pertaining to how the United States played, because they have been playing some very attractive soccer. They opened their World Cup against Paraguay, and they played superbly.
It has been a very fun and quick 4 or 5 weeks that it has been going on. My goodness.
Yes.
And as we sit here with Mr. Soccer, Bill McDermott, we are now just T-minus 3 hours away from the kickoff of the semifinal at 2 o'clock today. Again, that is France and Spain.
Yes, ma'am.
Your money's on France.
Yes.
Then tomorrow, his money's on England. We're going to take a quick break, come back, wrap things up with Mr. Soccer right here on Live with Laura. We are wrapping up a very lively conversation with Mr. Soccer himself, Bill McDermott. And Bill, you remember playing soccer as a little boy.
Indeed, I do. Not much else, but that I do remember.
Yes. So we are talking decades, thousands.
Unfortunately, yes.
Thousands upon thousands of miles traveled. You are still such an expert in this one game.
Well, first of all, thank you. It's very nice of you to say. I try to be. I try to be. And there are a lot of other people in St. Louis, a lot of other friends of mine who have done a whole lot for soccer. It's not just me. But if the media has tagged me with the term Mr. Soccer, and if it in turn gets more exposure for the sport, so be it. So be it. But I try to stay up on things. So,
what is one thing soccer has given you that you never expected it to?
The chance to learn life's lessons, as you brought up a little while ago in our conversation. You're rewarded for performance. If you lose, that's it. You have to come back and try again. Now, if that isn't a perfect simile, a metaphor for life, I don't know what is. You're rewarded for performance. Simple as that. The old classical conditioning.
Do you think soccer is the great unifier because it is so accessible?
I think so. That has a lot to do with it. It's a ball literally playing in the slums in the favelas in Brazil, wherever around the world. People will construct a ball made out of paper, plants, tape it together, and play soccer. And a goodly number of the top players were from very, very poor backgrounds. One of the better Brazilian players was Garrincha, and he had a horrible youth growing up, and then even worse yet when he was an older player for Brazil. But yeah, the majority of the time, soccer will bring people together because it is the world's game. And the main thing, Laura, that differentiates it from other championships in the United States sports is that it is a nation against a nation as opposed to a city against a city. And that carries with it hundreds of thousands of people because with the majority of those people, that is the way they identify their nationalism. And that is the way they get exposure for their country, small, large, whatever size, by competing in a World Cup. Cape Verde getting to the World Cup. Uzbekistan, Curacao getting to the World Cup. Just to get here in the World Cup was an achievement for those respective countries.
What do you see as the future of soccer, both in the United States, but also on a micro level here in St. Louis?
I think that the sport in our country is going to, excuse me, it's going to continue to grow, and it's going to grow to such an extent that it's going to be even more popular in our culture. And that's the main thing I think that you're looking for, whether there's a World Cup in your country or whether you're just watching MLS games. Let's continue to be good spectators, good fans, so this sport can grow. You should be very fortunate. The people in St. Louis should be very fortunate that we have an MLS team here finally after 1996 when we had been begging for a team. But I think it's going to continue to grow and become a part of our culture. Now, as I mentioned a moment ago, I don't know if it's going to be as big in our culture as it is in Europe and South America. I don't know that. Perhaps not. But nonetheless, it continues to grow. And St. Louis, irrespective of what anybody says, any degree of popularity, acceptance, a newfound cachet that the sport of soccer enjoys today in our country, St. Louis is the direct cornerstone of that acceptance of the sport, the birthplace of the sport in our country.
Why is that?
Because starting in 1875, people literally from around the St. Louis area were starting to play. Now, 1875 is a long time ago, and that's why I bring that up. And it was various parishes against parishes, various sponsored teams against sponsored teams. Players from other parts of the United States were coming in to play for St. Louis teams. And St. Louis was the birthplace of the popularity because of what St. Louis University did for the sport intercollegiately. That started in 1959. And that showed the country that people from the same city that the college is in are making up this entire team. You can say, Laura, of the 10 NCAA championships, 90 to 95% of the players on those teams were born and raised in St. Louis. Unheard of.
Including you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, by all means. Yes. Yep.
This has been such a really special conversation. And you say, finally, in your answer, that St. Louis got a soccer team in beautiful Energizer Park. I am a little younger than you. I have thought, man, things have been ramping up quickly. We have the World Cup now, and then 2 summers from right now, like 2 years from right now, Los Angeles will be hosting the Olympics, where, again, the eyes of the world will be here on our country.
Yes.
And Energizer Park is playing a part of that.
One of the venues for soccer. It continues to be a logical place for people to play because of the venue and the size of the venue. Now, if you get to the Olympic gold medal game, now they'd like to have that in the Rose Bowl when the 1999 women's team played, and they had 93,000, the largest sporting event in the history of women's sports. It was unheard of. Unheard of. And unfortunately, the Rose Bowl was not a venue for this year, nor was Soldier Field, because they didn't want to take on the expense of being a host/venue for the World Cup.
Bill McDermott, you have lived such an interesting life, specifically on the field. We haven't even really touched your life off the field. Married a gal that you sat next to your final day at SLU.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
3 girls, 7 grandkids. When you think about legacy, what do you hope your legacy is?
Someone who was loyal to something that has given him so much, and I tried to give something back. Monsignor Louis Meyer always told us at the CYC, when you get finished playing, remember to give something back. I hope people would say that about me. Simple as that.
I haven't known you long, but I can absolutely say you have.
Well, thank you.
You have. What an honor. Come Sunday with the World Cup final, what do you think the final score will be?
I still think France.
Okay.
I still think France. Now, I'm not going out on a huge limb here. I detailed their awesome offense, which I think is going to put them over the edge. I really do. So they will then have. They won in '98, playing at home. They won in Russia in 2018, and now they have a chance to do it again. Now, Spain is going to be a terribly difficult team, and again, I said, Laura, that England, I think it's their time to maybe chalk up a victory against Argentina. That's going to be astoundingly difficult for England. But I just think because of the quirks of sports that now is England's time.
Thank you for the gift of your time.
Oh, my pleasure. Anytime.
And yours too, St. Louis. This has been such a treat, a history lesson, and just fun all the way around. And I hope you share this conversation again with anyone in your circle who loves soccer, who enjoys the World Cup, or who just likes someone who can tell a story. My gosh, Bill McDermott, I think, rattled off 50 names in this conversation. Oh, friends, until next time, thank you for listening, thank you for learning, and thank you for being Live with Laura.